Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Lee Fife. I'm from East Boston High School. Welcome to today's 248th Independence Day celebration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Boston as we celebrate the 248th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Winston Churchill once said that American democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the other forms that have been tried. It is the initiation of that democracy, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, that we celebrate here in Boston today, as we have for well over 247 years. Our celebration is dedicated to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. We'll begin today with our traditional flag ceremony, followed by Boston's Independence Day Parade, with the first stop of our parade route will be at the Granary Burial Ground for a short ceremony and the laying of wreaths at the graves of John Hancock, Peter Faneuil, Robert Treat Paine, Samuel Adams, and Crispus Attucks. The parade will then continue to the Old State House for the annual 4th of July reading of the Declaration of Independence. Joining me on the stage here, City Councilor, retired U.S. Navy veteran, Enduring Freedom, and City Councilor Ed Flynn. Mayor Michelle Wu, Mr. John Borders, Director, Office of Tourism, Sports and Entertainment, Commissioner of Veterans Services for the City of Boston and retired U.S. Navy veteran, Robert Santiago. Ensign Lamar Badger, Navy Community Outreach. Commander Nicholas, Executive Officer of the USS Oscar, Home Port, Norfolk, Virginia. Lieutenant Commander Guy, Executive Officer of the PCU, Massachusetts, also Home Port, Norfolk, Virginia. Major Michael Fish, Captain Commanding of the Ancient Honorable Artillery, and his staff, First Lieutenant John D., Second Lieutenant Robert Collins, Chief of Staff, Captain George Morrison, and his adjutant, Brigadier General John Driscoll. The Ancient Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts holds the distinction of being the oldest chartered military organization in North America and the third oldest chartered military organization in the world. And last but not least, our vocalist today is Danielle Fonseca. And before we start the next phase of our ceremony today, I'd like to wish Mr. and Mrs. Zava a happy anniversary. Their anniversary, they were married on the 4th of July, and they're at this ceremony every single year. So happy anniversary, Frank. Major Fish, Captain Commanding Ancient Honorable Artillery Company, kindly have your adjutant, Brigadier General Driscoll, call the parade to attention and present arms for the singing of the national anthem by Danielle Fonseca, accompanied by the Zava Military Band, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, being read by Commissioner Robert Santiago.
Adjutant, bring the company to attention and present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please recite the Pledge of Allegiance along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before I leave the stage, I just want to say that as a retired Navy sailor and in recognition of Boston Navy Week, I wanted to recognize the officers and crew from the USS Oscar Austin and the USS Massachusetts who are here today. Also with us today is the Navy Ceremonial Guard and the Maritime Expeditionary Squadron. The Oscar Austin is an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer named after a Medal of Honor recipient, and there is no better place for that ship to be here than here in the city of Boston, where we are proud to have been host to 4 Medal of Honor conventions, more than any other city in the United States. Yeah, you did. And the USS Massachusetts is a Virginia-class submarine currently being built and will be commissioned here sometime next year in Boston. The USS Oscar Austin is open for tours, so please, if you have a minute, go check them out. It's a great ship. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle Fonseca, and thank you, Commissioner Santiago. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the 56th Mayor of Boston, the Honorable Madam Mayor Michelle Wu.
Happy Independence Day and welcome to Boston. Welcome to the birthplace of America. Boston is a city that takes our legacy and our history very seriously. We have revolution in our blood, and we live that service and sacrifice for the greater good every day. We are also home to 18-time NBA champions, Boston Celtics. That's a story for another day. So we have a lot to celebrate here, and we're so glad to welcome so many from around the world in seeing what's so special about our community and reaffirming and recommitting to the values of our country. 4th of July in Boston is like no other place in the world. We remember our history, we bring people together, and we continue to dream about the progress that we still need to make together as a community. I just this morning want to thank the many, many people who make this day possible in our city. I want to thank all of the very distinguished guests who are here with us. Thank you especially to our active service members and their families. Thank you to Colonel Fife for your service to our country and presiding over this ceremony year after year after year. To Danielle for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem, the Zaba Military Band, to Commissioner of Veteran Services, Rob Santiago, the best Commissioner of Veteran Services in the country. Thank you for all that you do day in and day out to make sure that Boston continues to lead in remembering the sacrifice that our service members and their families put in. I'm also so honored to serve alongside City Councilor Ed Flynn, whose service has manifested in many different ways, but who continues to represent our community so strongly. Thank you, thank you. And especially to all of our special guests who are here for Boston Navy Week. We are honored to have you with us. We are honored to host. All around the country, as neighbors are gathering or grilling or making plans to watch the fireworks and spend time together, we have to remember that we're doing so in celebration of our nation's freedom. It's a federal holiday, of course, but here in the cradle of liberty, it feels extra personal, because we have always known in Boston that our work didn't end when our democracy was born, that the growth and protection and continued nurturing of our democracy has never been any less important now than at its creation. And true democracy, a better government of the people, by the people, for the people, is an ongoing project that takes every one of us. So we're here today together to not only celebrate all that our founders did to bring this nation into being, but to recommit ourselves to the work of freedom, to tend to and defend the liberties that we hold dear. Today we're grateful for every act of service, from our active service members, from every citizen, every community member, neighbor, and resident whose partnership in this work makes it possible. And I'm so excited to be celebrating alongside all of you the strides that we've taken together today and every day in Boston, with all of the festivities at Harbor Fest, all the plans that we have to celebrate. Next year will be the 250th anniversary of our nation's independence. And if you like what you see this year, you better make plans to come back for next year, because it will be bigger and better than ever. Welcome again, and happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now the Zava Military Band, under the direction of Mr. Frank Zava, will play the Stars and Stripes Forever. Thank you, Frank, and thank the Zava Band. Participating in today's parade are the Boston Police Special Operations Division of the Motorcycle Unit. The parade honor guard being provided today by the Ancient Honorable Artillery. The other participants in the parade is the USS Oscar Austin, PCU Massachusetts, is the Massachusetts namesake submarine. The Fleet Outreach Ambassador Team, sailors from Massachusetts, U.S. Navy Ceremonial Unit, the Maritime Expeditionary Security Squadron, the Meteorological and Oceanography Command, the U.S. Navy Naval Observatory, the Zava Military Band, the Ancient Honorable Artillery Company under the command of Major Fish, Captain Commanding, the Wilmington Minutemen Company, the Billerica Colonial Minutemen, and the 7th Mass Regiment. Ladies and gentlemen, the parade will be marching up the brick walkway this way. If you can make some room for them as they start marching up, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, this concludes the flag ceremony today. Major Fish, Captain Commanding, have your adjutant, Brigadier General Driscoll, call the parade to attention and inform the parade.
Adjutant, bring the troops to attention and form the parade.
Okay, if you all can follow me, we're going to follow right behind the color guard. If you can move, we're going to follow right behind the color guard. Welcome once again to Boston as we continue our celebration of the 248th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We are now at the Granary Burial Ground, founded in 1660. The Granary is the third oldest burying ground in Boston proper, named for the 12,000 bushel grain storage building that was located next door where the present Park Street Church stands to my right. The burying ground was renamed the Granary in 1737. The graveyard has 2,345 markers. Some say as many as 8,000 people are buried here. Since funerals were expensive in colonial times, there would be one headstone per family, but each grave contains as many as 20 bodies. We're here today to honor 5 of Boston's patriots. Alongside the far wall to the southwest, my right, your left, is the elaborate embellished marker of John Hancock's tomb. The signature of John Hancock on the Declaration of Independence is the most flamboyant and easily recognizable of all. A decree has been delivered from England in the early 1776 offering a large reward for the capture of several leading figures. Hancock was one of them. On signing the Declaration, he commented, "The British ministry can read this name without spectacles. Let them double their reward." At the far rear of the cemetery, along the back wall, is the location where Peter Faneuil is buried. Peter Faneuil, 1700 to 1743, was a wealthy American colonial merchant and philanthropist who donated Faneuil Hall to Boston. The room above the market stalls became a civil center where so many pre-revolutionary meetings were held that Faneuil Hall became known as America's cradle of liberty. It is only fitting that we have historically concluded the program there every other 4th of July since 1783. On the right-hand wall opposite John Hancock's tomb is a plaque marking the tomb of Robert Treat Paine. Robert Treat Paine was a native of Massachusetts, born in 1731. He was elected to the Provincial Assembly, and the body selected him to attend the First Continental Congress. Paine served on committees which formed the rules of debate and later served as chairman of the committee charged with acquiring gunpowder for the Continental Army. He also authored the final appeal to the king, known as the Olive Branch Petition, in 1775. Payne was re-elected to represent Massachusetts at the Continental Congress of 1776. He participated in the debate leading to the resolution for independence, and his signature appears in the Declaration of Independence. In the front right corner is the family plot of Samuel Adams. It is interesting to note that Sam Adams had the Boston Massacre victims interned here on his family plot. He was appointed as a representative to the Continental Congress, where he was most noted for his oratory skills and as a passionate advocate for independence from Britain. In 1776, as a delegate to the Continental Congress, he signed the Declaration of Independence. Adams retired from Congress in 1781 and returned to Massachusetts to become a leading member of the state's convention to form a constitution. In 1789, he was appointed lieutenant governor of the state. 1794, he was elected governor and was re-elected annually until 1797, when he retired for health reasons. He, Sam Adams, along with John Hancock, Robert Treat Payne, brings the number of signers of the Declaration of Independence buried in Granary to 3. In the front right corner, buried near Samuel Adams, on the Adams family plot, is Crispus Attucks and 4 other victims of the Boston Massacre. Crispus Attucks was born in Framingham, Massachusetts in 1723, was an American stevedore of African and Native American descent, widely regarded as the first person killed in the Boston Massacre, and thus the first American killed in the American Revolution. This event helped fuel the outrage against British rule and spurred on the American Revolution. Tension mounted rapidly, and when one of the soldiers was struck, the others fired their muskets, killing 3 of the Americans, instantly and mortally wounding 2 others. Attucks was the first to fall, thus becoming one of the first men to lose his life in the cause of the American independence. His body was carried to Faneuil Hall, where he laid in state until March 8th, when all 5 victims were buried in a common grave. Attucks was the only victim of the Boston Massacre whose name was widely remembered in 1888. The Crispus Attucks Monument was unveiled in Boston Common. Major Fish, Captain Commanding the 18th Honorable Artillery, have your adjutant bring the parade to attention and present arms.
Adjutant, bring the companies to attention and present who?
We'll have a musket volley followed by taps. Major Fish, Captain Commanding 18th Honorable Artillery, bring the parade to order arms and form the parade. Once again, welcome to the City of Boston's 4th of July celebration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that that they are endowed by their Creator with the certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Boston as we celebrate the 248th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. How appropriate that we are here today, just outside this building, on March 5th, 1770. 5 men were among the first casualties of the battle for independence in what would later be known as the Boston Massacre. From 1771 through 1782, a patriotic oration had begun. Given from the very balcony here on July 18, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was first proclaimed to the citizens of Boston from this very spot. As in revolutionary times, I ask our trumpeter to sound assembly. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you the 56th Mayor of the City of Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu.
Thank you so much, Colonel Fife. And again, welcome to Boston, the birthplace of America. As you heard, this is one of the most important parts of our annual 4th of July commemorations. From this very balcony and from where you stand right now, those words were first communicated to the citizens of Boston and then spread around the world. Each year since then, Boston has commemorated that important tradition. And so you are a part of carrying on this important legacy, of remembering the values of service, independence, and work still ahead that we have to do together for our democracy. So I thank you for joining us. I thank you for sharing in this responsibility of the work of freedom. And thank you again for being part of Boston's very special day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now I call upon the City of Boston's Veterans Services and retired Navy veteran, Commissioner Robert Santiago, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. And now is Major Fish, Captain Commanding of the Ancient Honorable Artillery, and his staff will read the Declaration of Independence.
I got you. Greetings and salutations from this historical balcony here in the heart of Boston. I am proud to stand here before you as Captain Commanding of the Ancient and Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts. Since the founding of this great nation, the captain commanding of this honorable company has read the Declaration of the 13 United States of America, now proudly 50, on this upcoming 250th year anniversary of this great nation. As a nation made up of varied races, ethnicities, and religions, I am proud to say I am the second American Jew to stand before you and read this declaration, preserving and proclaiming we are a nation under God. I ask you to heed these guiding principles practiced by Colonel Robert Lynch. Seek the wisdom of the ages. Honor the values of our forefathers. Hold your responsibilities as dearly as your rights. Keep the highest standards and ethics paramount in your life. Demonstrate your belief in the inherent goodness of people. Be sure your words are your bond and reflected in your deeds. Always do what's honorable, even when it's not to your advantage. Don't give up though times are tough and obstacles rough. Perseverance often makes the difference between success and failure. Always give more than you receive. Leave the world a better place than you found it. And now it is my honor to read our Declaration of Independence. Read by Colonel Thomas Crafts, Captain Commanding, Ancient, 1776. Action of the Second Continental Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object: the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to the laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies in places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary power. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for tenure of their offices and amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving him assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of a trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with powers to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, destroyed the lives of our people. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us. He has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble of terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of our circumstances, of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind. Enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that a free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of our divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I am the 316th Captain Commander of the Ancient Honorable Artillery Company of Massachusetts, Major Michael Andrew Fish, Esquire. God bless America! You want us to?
Anytime you're ready to come out, I guess some more.
Oh, you have to let you say this game fast. Okay, come out, guys. All right.
Thank you, Major Fish and Commander of the Ancient Armor Artillery and your staff. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you our vocalist, Denzel Fonseca. She'll sing God Bless America.
Thank you. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's Old State House ceremony and also concludes our 248th Independence Day ceremony. We thank you and your attendance and hope you enjoy your stay in Boston and wish you all a safe and healthy 4th of July. God bless America.